Welcome to another live edition of Ron's Library and Ideas. While we wait for some people to join us in the room, for those of you watching the playback, check out some music I made. I'm walking the bull, go, out for the. I'm walking the bull, go, out for the. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Help push this out to a few more people. And people talk about I don't know, house music, electronic music, but I feel like if you can dance, you'll like this. Oh, I got a comment. Can you play some music there? I recommend a band called Specula from Brazil. I'll check them out. As you can see from the title of this live, it's called The Feds Are Probably Watching. The FBI, that is. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe. What's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Hello, time travel. Just to show you how varied my musical tastes are, I curate stuff in a lot of different genres. Now, let's see. Let me go to open recent, because that was one thing, right? That was I don't know if you call that house music or what. But we also got something like this. Let me save the changes. Yeah. I'll play some more of that a little bit later. Let's get started. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. I always appreciate every view that I get. We're doing some good work on this channel. The more information you have, the more powerful you become, and the more you can change your situation. If you guys could please hit that like button, I'd appreciate it. Hey, now I'm going to say allegedly because I looked online and some people are saying this quote isn't true, but I think it is true, and it jives with research that I found or research that I've done. Now, J. Edgar Hoover was the head of the FBI for like 50 years. He's the reason the FBI got as powerful as it did. And J. Edgar Hoover allegedly said black unity is the biggest threat to U.S. national security. Again, let me say that again. He said that black unity, talking about black Americans, our unity is the biggest threat to U.S. national security. And that got me thinking, well, what is it about us that that scares them so much? Excuse me. Why is our unity seen as such a threat? And I believe because we have the power to change the status quo drastically, and more than just like a physical power structure, like more than just like, you know, this idea of overthrowing the U.S. government and making our own government or having our own separate state. What I believe that they fear is that we'll get to the point that we realize, you know, we're not just limited uh, to the physical. There's places beyond this level of life. Now, the amazing thing about all of this, so I asked ChatGPT, why was J. Edgar Hoover so afraid of black unity? And it says, J. Edgar Hoover, the longtime director of the FBI, viewed black unity as a major threat to the United States during his tenure because he associated with challenges to the social, political, and economic status quo. This belief was largely rooted in systemic racism, fear of civil rights movements, and concerns about revolutionary change. Here are key points behind Hoover's stance. Opposition to civil rights movements is number one. Hoover saw the civil rights movement as a disruption to the existing social order. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and organizations like the Black Panther Party sought to challenge segregation, inequality, and systemic oppression. Hoover perceived these movements as destabilizing and subversive. The FBI's infamous COINTELPRO, which stands for Counterintelligence Program, targeted black leaders and groups to prevent what Hoover described as the rise of a black messiah who could unify and mobilize the black community. It's fascinating. Okay, perfect comment. This comment says, some random guy speaks. Why do black people always live in the past? If you do not understand the past, you will be doomed to repeat it. If you don't understand the past, you won't understand what's going on right now. And these aren't just past actions. They are still doing these things to this day. And I assume if you're on here and you're listening to this broadcast that if you're listening to this broadcast, I assume that you aren't wealthy. You aren't in that elite class of white people. I got news for you. The wealthy whites, the elites, they don't care about the poor white trash either. They care about themselves, and that's it. So the things that they do to us, they'll eventually do to you if they're not doing them currently. So COINTELPRO was a program started by the FBI, by J. Edgar Hoover, so he can infiltrate different groups and destroy them from within. You know, we talk about books on my channel. This book right here, Chaos by Tom O'Neill, is a must read. Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. You learn about MK Ultra, mind control. They talk about chaos not chaos, but they talk about COINTELPRO in here. Very fascinating book. And these things that they've done to us, they never said that they stopped. So I'm always weary of joining groups because you always have some people who will be willing to sell out their own people. It's almost like you don't know who to trust. Somebody sitting in that room could be an agent. Please hit the like button as you're coming in. I really appreciate it. Let's see. All right, check this out, right? This is coming from chapter 7, Neutralizing the Left in Chaos. And it says, the FBI and the CIA launched their counterintelligence programs in the same month. And I go into this much more in depth. There's a video on my channel called Chaos. You should check that out. Somebody said I look like Black Legolas or Legolas. That's from Lord of the Rings. I got that. Well, that book is downstairs, but I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Before I get into that, let me look at some of these comments. Oh, okay. Here he goes. Some random guy speaks says, it looks like you've benefited living in America. You don't look like you're poor. Thank you. I appreciate that. But the way this country is going, eventually it's only going to be the haves and the have-nots. And if you don't have millions in the bank, you're going to be in that have-nots list. Let's see. Anything else worth reading in these comments? Let's see. Oh, okay. They're trying to, they're trying to trolling the book. You know, it's interesting. People just throw out that term conspiracy theory, and they still expect that to be like a term that discourages people from looking into that information. Even though we know the term conspiracy theory wasn't put into popular use until JFK got assassinated and the Warren Commission convened to study, to figure out who killed JFK. And after the people weren't buying what they told them, and they speak about that in this book as well. This all the ties to that. They said, well, don't believe in those crazy conspiracy theories. Well, if you look into conspiracy theories, you'll see there's a lot of them that make some sense, and there's a lot of them that are true. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll let you decide for yourself. And something even else to think about, like people who are trolls, those could be FBI agents themselves, put in to sow disinterest, like to distract from the point that people are trying to make. It's always interesting, people who spend so much time, oh, I disagree, so let me come in here and type something. You could just leave. I don't spend my time in white supremacist spaces trying to figure out what they're doing, because they don't matter. All right, so let's continue. The FBI and the CIA launched their counterintelligence programs in the same month. On August 25th, 1967, J. Edgar Hoover issued a memorandum to the chiefs of each of his FBI field offices in the United States, outlining the objective of COINTELPRO, and that is the counterintelligence program. First launched in 1956 to increase factionalism among communists in the United States. COINTELPRO has been activated on and off throughout the early 60s, often to vilify civil rights leaders, Martin Luther King, most prominent among them. And that's something. Martin Luther King, he was preaching nonviolence, turn the other cheek, that old type of thing. And they still try to discredit him because of what he was trying to do, trying to get us a check. And it's very interesting that they give MLK a day and the government assassinated him. It's been proven. They don't give Malcolm X a day. I wonder why that is. And you should check out Malcolm X speeches on YouTube. It's very, very fascinating stuff. Let's continue. All right, so this is the memo that came out that he sent to his to the different offices, and it says the aim of COINTELPRO is to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of black nationalist hate type organizations. The activities of all such groups of intelligence interests to this Bureau must be followed on a continuous basis. Efforts of various groups to consolidate their forces or to recruit new or youthful adherents must be frustrated. No opportunity should be missed to exploit the organizational and personal conflicts of the leaderships of the group and to capitalize upon existing conflicts between competing black nationalist organizations. So again, pitting groups against each other, the idea of divide and conquer, all these are tactics that are used against the people, against these black groups. And again, I ask you, why is that? Why is black unity, American black unity, such a threat to the power structure? You know, it is a fact that black people existed on this planet for trillions of years before anybody else came around. That's a status quo that they don't want to go back to. And again, I say, if we've been down here that long, we've done all there is to do. Let's go and do something else. Check this out. Informants were COINTELPRO's lifeblood, providing the only effective way for the FBI to learn about and exert influence on the groups it hoped to discredit. In the Black Panther Party and in Los Angeles, the U.S. organization informants were instrumental in fomenting violence. They would spread disinformation to catalyze an intergroup rivalry, or they simply arranged for the bloodshed themselves. So again, these are very dirty tactics that they use. We're going to pit these groups against each other. They'll lie, we'll steal, we'll kill, all in the efforts to keep a foot on the necks of these people. That's fascinating to me. You only do that to somebody that you have a fear of. If they are so superior, why all the effort? You have to ask yourself that. Let's read some more of these troll comments. Oh wow, somebody's in Spanish. Yeah, I don't understand that. Martin Luther King was a mole. Could have been. All I see here is victimhood, blaming instead of fixing your problem. All right. Let's see. Wow, yeah, so this is a it is a troll. That's funny. You really have to it's really funny to think about people who spend their time trolling. Like they will really spend their night going to different accounts. So like I said, either that's an agent or a very miserable person. You know, happy people don't spend their time doing things like this, but you know, that's life. Unhappy people, they will not support you when they see you trying to do something different because they're miserable in their own lives. So their idea, let's spread misery as much as we can. Or they just want some type of attention. Very interesting, man. So continuing on in what ChatGPT wrote about J. Edgar Hoover and why he was so afraid of black unity. Number 2 reason, fear of revolution. Hoover believed that unified black political and social activism could lead to radical change, including Marxist or socialist movements that might challenge capitalism and U.S. institutions. He equated black liberation movements with communist ideology, particularly during the Cold War. The Black Panther Party, in particular, was framed as a violent revolutionary group despite its community oriented programs like free breakfasts for children and healthcare initiatives. That's interesting. Despite them largely being non-violent, we're going to paint them as being violent. But it's like, I'm of the mindset, like Malcolm X used to say, obey the law, be peaceful. But if somebody put their hands on you, make sure that's the last time they ever put their hands on you. I am for an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. If you want to take my life, I'm taking yours with me. And when you have that kind of attitude, instead of like, well, I'm just going to, chill and be meek and mild, that's when you get some change. When people realize, okay, we probably shouldn't fuck with this person. Notice the black leader that they celebrate is the one who was pushing that entire peaceful mindset. And something else that you hear the trolls say, well, why are you guys so interested in the past, or why you focus on the past so much? These things aren't that long ago. For me, it's only like a one generation back. They didn't desegregate schools for my father until he was in high school. Up until high school, it was all black schools for him. My grandfather is old enough and lived long enough to have known people who were slaves or knew slaves. That's not that long ago, ladies and gentlemen. That's really not that long ago. I'm 37. My grandfather was 94, I believe, when he passed. So he was around to know people who came out of that. And it would be different if we came out of slavery and it's all right, we're going to stop fucking with y'all, right? We really just left alone. But that's not the case. We came out of slavery and they did everything in their power to stop us from becoming a powerful people. They've kept a foot on our necks. Every time we've built our own communities, built something up that was grand, you had the jealous white supremacists who would come around and burn it to the ground. Maybe there's a lesson in that. The lesson being, we keep trying to do something that we've already done. What if it's time to move on? Because again, my body, right? This is just the vessel that my soul is operating through. When this body ends, my soul goes on to do something else. It's like it's this idea that if I'm playing a video game, just how seriously am I going to take Super Mario Brothers or Grand Theft Auto? Because when I stop playing it, well, I just go back to my real life. It's the same thing with your life down here. Once you leave the physical, you move beyond to something else. Now, why that's important is because if you look at the theory that your soul is the only thing real about you, and everybody isn't a soul. Every person that you see does not have a soul. There are some entities down here, some people who only exist in the physical, in the astral realm. That's just one place. So when they die, their mindset is they can either reincarnate, come back down here and do it all over again, and attempt to earn a soul. But if the original programmers of this place, the original programmers being the black man and the black woman, if we all decide to leave en masse and stop playing the game, what happens to the people who don't have a soul? What happens down here? Do they continue to exist? What happens to Super Mario when you stop playing the Nintendo? That's the fear. For those who are soulless, that is. They want to do everything in their power to keep us emotionally attached to this place. Because even, I can read about all these things that they've done to us. I can read about, listen to the stories that my parents tell me. I can see the racism that takes place today. And yeah, it makes me angry, but only to a certain point. I know how to emotionally disconnect from this, and that's powerful because he who angers you controls you. I don't give anybody the power to make me angry. You observe these events and you decide how you're going to react. That's a powerful mindset to have. I hope that's a mindset that you can establish for yourself. Stop letting all these things make you angry because they play games. There's always going to be some type of craziness going on. It's designed to get you emotional. Because again, we've talked about this on my channel before. The physical that we find ourselves existing in, it was made in a flawed manner. This place wasn't meant to be perfect. You know, you strive for perfection, but you don't reach perfection down here. So any society that we build will eventually meet its end. They said it in the Matrix. And you'll hear me repeat certain things just so it can get into your subconscious mind. The Oracle, after she got absorbed by Agent Smith. This is in the last movie. Neo's fighting the agent and losing. You know, he's putting up a good fight, but he's losing. And, you know, Agent Smith looks at him. He's like, yo, why? Why do you continue to persist? Why do you keep fighting? And Neo said, because I choose to. It's all about the choices that you make. And the other important thing that he said in this movie, after Agent Smith absorbed the Oracle, he said, yo, I've seen this. He said, you were right there. I was right here. And I said, everything that has a beginning has an ending, Neo. And he's like, well, that's not right. Because Agent Smith never called Neo in the movie until that point. He always called him Mr. Anderson. So again, duality. If it has a beginning, it will have an ending. This, Ronald Simmons, I had a beginning, I will have an ending. This physical form. America had a beginning, it will have an ending. The physical world had a beginning, it will have an ending. Everything goes through these cycles. Hold on. This book is called The Fourth Turning. What the cycles of history tell us about America's next rendezvous with destiny. William Strauss and Neil Howe. Check this out. Now, it's not just me saying this. You know, we see this all over the place. They aren't the first people to say this, but they are able to apply it to America in itself. Put my glasses on and teach you guys some game. That's right, Alpha and Omega. Let's see. Check this out. First comes a high, a period of confident expansion. That is springtime. That's how you can relate that. Spring. Everything is spreading out, it's growing, it's getting bigger. Make sure you hit that like button as you come in. Next comes an awakening, a time of spiritual exploration and rebellion. That is summer. Then comes an unraveling in which individualism triumphs over crumbling institutions. That's the fall. Last comes a crisis, the fourth turning, when society passes through a great and perilous gate in history. That is winter, that is death. These cycles happen all the time. It's like a wheel, it keeps going round and round and round. When do you take yourself out of that cycle? William Strauss and Neil Howe will change the way you see the world and your place in it. With blazing originality, the fourth turning illuminates the past, explains the present, and reimagines the future. Most remarkably, it offers an utterly persuasive prophecy about how America's past will predict what comes next. Excuse me. Earlier in the live, somebody asked, yo, why are black people always paying attention to the past? Because we're intelligent. We understand that you have to know what happened in the past to see what's coming down the line. You got to understand these cycles. They'll tell you to get over it. Nah, it's such a long time ago. Don't pay no attention to that. They say that to us. They don't say that to other groups of people who have experienced atrocities. Mm-mm-mm. Somebody says, I am white, I am North African, I love my black sisters and brothers all over this world. We are all the same. All right, yes and no to a certain degree, yeah. but thanks for the love. Keep that peaceful mindset. Let's see. Strauss and Howe based this vision on a provocative theory of American history. The author looks back 500 years and uncover a distinct pattern. Modern history moves in cycles, each one lasting about the length of a long human life, each composed of four 20-year eras or turnings that comprise history, that comprises history's seasonal rhythm of growth, maturation, entropy, and rebirth. Illustrating this cycle through a brilliant analysis of the post-World War II period, the fourth turning offers bold predictions about how all of us can prepare individually and collectively for this rendezvous with destiny. The fourth turning, another book. You know, that's the point of this channel, Ron's Library and Ideas. I'm gonna spread my ideas. I'm gonna turn y'all on to books so you can kind of see where I got it from. You don't just have to take my word for it. You can go out and read. You can go out and get the audiobook and listen to it. And here's another thing. Just taking myself out of it, right? Looking from the outside, looking in, I can see the strategy, and it's diabolical. It's you can say it's evil, but it's some of it is brilliant, right? Do you know most Americans read at the sixth grade level? A sixth grade level. That's most Americans, right? Most Americans, they'll get this book and won't know what to do with it. Words too big, they can't pay attention long enough, the attention spans are shorter. Not having a short attention span, not being able to follow a long string of thoughts, is how you get played. People can take advantage of it because they know motherfucker can't pay attention. It's too difficult for you. And that's sad, man. That's sad. And it's brilliant. Like if I was trying to rule the world and keep an oppressive foot on the necks of the people, keep them dumb, keep them entertained, motherfuckers is panicking over TikTok not being available. What are they going to do with themselves? Well, they're just going to go to some other social media. It's fascinating, man. People can't focus. I know that's a bad thing, not being able to focus. Let's read some more of these comments. America is a new world, brother. It is not and never will be a reference to 1,000 years of history in Africa. All right, yeah, that's real. But even with that, maybe you just now tuned in. Africa had a beginning. Africa had its ending. What we built in Egypt, people who look like us, what we built in Egypt, that had its beginning and it had its ending. Now, granted, when you're living in harmony with the natural laws of the universe, when you're putting out good energy and you actually care about the people, it makes your civilization last a lot longer. Just think about it, like we have evidence of the Sphinx and the pyramids being underwater at some point. That was a pretty long time ago that they were underwater. Cleopatra lived closer to us than she did to the building of the Great Pyramids. That is a long history, and we were here for all of that. Just think about how far your genetics go back. Your DNA, what you have inside of there. Let's see. Going back to why J. Edgar Hoover was afraid of black unity. All right, 3, racial prejudice. Hoover's actions were deeply influenced by his own biases and the systemic racism of the era. He likely conflated the empowerment of black Americans with a loss of control for white dominated institutions which he sought to preserve. Control over social order. The FBI under Hoover was invested in maintaining the status quo, which included racial segregation and suppression of minority rights. Unified black activism posed a threat to this structure as it aimed to dismantle discriminatory laws and practices. Something else that's something else that I find fascinating is that they got smart with their racism. When I say they, I mean the American system. So pre-segregation, well, pre-integration, it was obvious that black people were second-class citizens. You know, we was out there protesting, asking, demanding certain things, and it's like only a fool can see. Okay, they are being treated differently. They are not getting their American rights, their natural rights. So what do? They pretend to integrate you into society. So we'll bring you in, we'll elevate a few of you, so then we could be like, well, why are you complaining? Look at LeBron James, he's doing great. Look at 2 Chainz, he's doing great. They'll point out a few of these people and say, well, what are you complaining for? Y'all have it made. Somebody in the comments earlier said, it looks like you're not poor. They give you trinkets and expect you to stop complaining. But you know, that's just part of the tactic. We have to make it seem like we want you in this place. I need to blow my nose. So while I go blow my nose, you guys enjoy this. I made this. Y'all ever watch Real Time with Bill Maher? Comes on HBO, and he uh, he brought a guy who worked for the NSA. That's the National Security Agency. He brought a man that used to work for the NSA, And this man got on Bill Maher's show and said they keep tabs and they keep records on everybody. And then he was looking at Bill Maher when he said it. Then he turned and looked at the camera and said, "Don't think you're exempt when I say everybody. They keep tabs and they keep records on everybody. So if you have a smartphone, you have a computer, anything that you're doing, they're storing that and they're watching it. They're paying attention. The question is why?" I said earlier, most Americans read at a sixth grade level. Do you know the kind of dumb stuff people are looking at? Excuse me. Like the type of idiotic, just inane dribble that most people spend their time consuming. Why are you paying that much attention to that many people? What kind of paranoid do you have to be to where you feel like I have to keep tabs on everyone? I'm of the mindset that they store all of this information and they feed it into their quantum computers or their supercomputers to try to predict what the people are going to do. You get enough information, like feed me information. So we feed them all of this information and they put it into their computer so they can predict, okay, so what's going to happen? They're fearful. Bush Sr., the one who's not living anymore, he said, if the American people knew what we were up to, they would chase us down the streets and they would kill us. Yeah, we probably would if we knew everything that they were up to, because they do some horrible things. And it's all in an effort to keep a foot on the necks of the people. Again, we're reading out of a couple of different things, but mostly chaos. This is a great book, right? Shout out to Candace Owens for even telling me about this book. I never even heard of it, and it seems like it should be a much bigger deal because you see that the CIA played a role in the Manson murders. The CIA played a role some kind of way in the assassination of JFK, or covering it up. It's very interesting. Like Lee Harvey Oswald's who they say killed JFK, but then Jack Ruby came and killed him before they could really get any answers. So they sent a CIA psychiatrist, a psychiatrist who had ties to the CIA. They sent him in to interview and question this man, Jack Ruby. After that interview, he said, hey, he's crazy. Like, he lost his mind. They know how to induce psychosis and how to make a person crazy. So they couldn't ask him any questions. Horrible thing to do, but it's a brilliant tactic. And again, that's where we get the term conspiracy theory from. Let's read some more. Oh, okay, so yeah, I said that to say they keep tabs on everybody. The title of this is The Feds Are Probably Watching, which is okay. They can watch, but the fact that they're so paranoid, to me, proves that they don't have the kind of power that they want us to believe that they have. They're not powerful how we are. And again, I always want to be a place where you can come and get some answers and solutions as well. We can think these people out of existence. We can think this system out of existence. Before you go to sleep tonight, just imagine your idea of the perfect world, right? Whatever that may be. And imagine how you would feel existing in that world. Imagine a world with no white supremacist structure and the emotions that you would feel, and hold on to that as you go to sleep. Enough of us start doing that, this thing starts to change. That's why they spend so much money and time and effort trying to control your thoughts. They don't want you to have time to sit and think and contemplate. They don't want you to have time to read books and come up with new ideas. They don't want you talking to a diverse group of people, sharing ideas. They want you to stay inside these small echo chambers. I know one of my gifts is that I can relate and speak to a wide range of people. Because of that, I learned a lot. I've been around people who come from wide walks of life. Probably everything except for, the ultra wealthy. They don't run in the circles that most of us run in. They do their own thing. Let's read some more of these comments. I think JFK was never murdered. I think it was a Hollywood act. Wouldn't that have been something? Dick Gregory spoke about that. He said JFK survived the shot, but he lived as a vegetable for a long time after that. Peace of Dick Gregory. I miss him. That's somebody else that you guys should go and look up. Look up his interviews, Dick Gregory. He gave you a lot of information, and he told you how it was. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat anything. Oh, okay. Check this. I do like this quote. Strong men make good times make weak men make hard times make strong men. And the cycle repeats. That is exactly right. These things happen in cycles. And it's like we can't escape it in a sense. As long as we're in the physical, this thing's going to keep repeating. It's going to keep going round and round and round. Question, how do we get out of it? How do we get out of the physical? I think I put that in a later video. There's something else that I highlighted in here. Okay. July 1969, when G-men, that's G-men is government men, had incited the murders of 2 Black Panthers on the UCLA campus. FBI infiltrators had lied to the Panthers' rivals, the U.S. organization, telling them that the Panthers were meeting on the campus to plan their assassinations. U.S. responded by ambushing 2 Panthers at a Black student union meeting and shooting them dead. Los Angeles Sheriff's Office knew that the Panthers were murdered because of the FBI's meddling. They didn't care. In fact, they hid the FBI's role in the violence. In their eyes, the most desirable outcome had been achieved. 2 Panthers were dead, 3 U.S. gang members were in jail, and the American public was more fearful of Black militants. The FBI used the incident to spur more violence between U.S. and the Black Panthers. So again, this is from that COINTELPRO program, Divide and Conquer, telling lies to each side so they can get the desired outcome, which is them fighting amongst themselves and not accomplishing their goals. Someone says we live in the matrix, but can we get out? Yes. My favorite Coltrane album. It's probably A Love Supreme. That's a very good album. Admittedly, I'm not familiar with all of his albums, but A Love Supreme is the one that I like to listen to the most. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. That was a superb album. You had 2 of my favorite saxophonists. You had Julian Cannonball Adderley on alto, and you had John Coltrane on tenor, and Miles Davis. I mean, great album. You should definitely, if you haven't listened to that, Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, go back and listen to that. Yo, people. All right, so another funny comment. Somebody says, yo, what's pretty neat? Buttholes. Wow, man, this is funny. Yep, I said it, so I should get a subscription from that, right? Let's see. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. So Fred Hampton, he was a leader of a Black Panther Party in Chicago. The FBI got him murdered. And it says, the FBI's role may never have come to light if not for the Citizens Committee to investigate the FBI, an audacious crew of activist burglars who took it upon themselves to break into a small FBI field office in Media, Pennsylvania, just west of Philadelphia. One night in March 1971, a group took a crowbar to that office's dead-bolted door, stuffing suitcases with papers revealing the FBI's domestic spying, which they soon parceled out to the press. Hoover was in high dudgeon. So before that, people did not know that the FBI was using those type of tactics to surveil the people and to get Americans killed. That's not what the FBI is supposed to do. But once the American public found out, that's when it was like, okay, yo, this is messed up. And what's funny, excuse me, Black people have known for years that the FBI is no good. But it's interesting that we didn't really start seeing white people speak about that until these past few years when it came to how they were handling Donald Trump. Notice how Mark Zuckerberg is out here copping pleas now, saying, look, it was the Biden administration that was leaning on us, telling us, to censor people during the pandemic. That's important to note. Y'all are a little late to the party. So as long as we have free speech, we need to utilize it. And also utilize your right to bear arms as well. The existence of COINTELPRO was the single most earth-shaking revelation in the stolen documents, among which was Hoover's incendiary 67 COINTELPRO memo, the one in which he pledged to discredit and neutralize leftist organizations. With his pet project exposed, Hoover took steps to end COINTELPRO, but the burglary inaugurated a spate of whistleblowing that undermined the FBI's credibility over the next few years. Congressman Hale Boggs, the House Majority Leader, compared the FBI to the secret police, conceding that even Congress lived in fear of them and that he'd hasten the growth of a vine of tyranny. This name of the game is put people in positions of power and then put them in compromising situations and blackmail them for it. That's what Epstein was doing. He was getting all these powerful, rich, and famous people in compromising situations, and you don't want the public to know what you're doing, so now I'm going to blackmail you. Diddy was a tool as well. He was doing the same thing. Getting these people in compromising situations, filming, and then blackmail them. There's no good that comes from not being sexually disciplined. If you're not in control of yourself sexually and you get money and some power, it's easy to take advantage of you. All we have to do is throw some sex your way, throw women your way, throw men your way, drugs, throw animals, whatever it is, throw children your way, because they're into that too, and now we got you. We can make you do whatever we want you to do because you weren't sexually disciplined. You gave in to your deviancy. Okay, somebody's saying, bro, one more time. We live in the matrix. There is no way out, especially for our part, the ones who are darker, there is no way out. I disagree. There is a way out. The being in control of your emotions, making sure you're vibrating at a high frequency, you'll miss a lot of these negative things happening. And again, the name of the game that our ancestors told us, they left the key information that the Egyptians left behind for us was how to die and not have to come back. Reincarnation was looked at as reincarceration. You're going back to jail. But if you have all these emotional ties to this place, if you feel like, oh, they just took my power, I couldn't do what I wanted to do while I was down here, that's almost like a sure way to make sure you come back down here and repeat this cycle again. You have all the power. If we didn't have the power to change our situation, they wouldn't be doing everything that they're doing. They wouldn't have to. If I had roaches in my house and I sprayed some Raid and I didn't see roaches anymore, I wouldn't do anything else. But if I had roaches and I sprayed Raid, I still see roaches. Or so next I put out some traps, dang, I still see roaches. So next I call Orkin, dang, I still see roaches. So next I put out like a bug bomb, damn, I still see roaches. You only keep doing these different things if it's not working. There's a plethora of actions that they take to try to keep a foot on the necks of the people, but it's not working. That's why they have to keep doing it. That's why they have to continue finding new things to do, because it's not working. Evil cannot triumph over good. It may seem like they win in the short term, but they can't win in the long term. And you really have to expand your view of these timelines to understand that, okay, this can only last but for so long. And I appreciate you guys coming, tuning in. Spreading this information, talking about the things that I've learned. Not only do I enjoy doing it, but I kind of see it as a duty. If you see something, say something. If you learn something, you're obligated to share that with your people. That's a lesson I was taught. So the internet is a wild place. I'm not even gonna read that last comment. Something else that I think you need to read. This is Watchmen by Alan Moore. They have a list of books that you should read before you die. This is one of the few comic books or graphic novels that's on there. Let's see if they got some reviews of it in the front. And it's like it's a commentary on society. And it begins. Now this is the character Rorschach. Dark dog carcass in an alley this morning. Tire thread on burst stomach. This city's afraid of me. I have seen its true face. The streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of blood. And when the drain finally scabs over, all the vermin will drown. The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up about their waists, and all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll look down and whisper, "No." They had a choice, all of them. They could have followed in the footsteps of good men like my father or President Truman. Decent men who believed in a day's work for a day's pay. Instead, they followed the droppings of lechers and communists and didn't realize that the trail led over a precipice until it was too late. Don't tell me they didn't have a choice. Now the whole world stands on the brink, staring down into bloody hell, all those liberals and intellectuals and smooth talkers. And all of a sudden, nobody can think of a thing to say. Now, when was this written? I believe this first came out in the 80s. Let's see. When it was first published. 1986. 1986 to 1987. And it sounds like it could be talking about today. That's just interesting. Something else, I read a lot of different things. I grew up reading comic books as well. You should check out some comic books. It was comic books that introduced me to the idea of there being multiple realities. And by controlling the thoughts of the people, you can control a reality, because it is our minds that make this place happen. The universe is being projected out from our minds. So based on your thoughts, it's the kind of reality that you're going to get. The power structure knows that. So their job is to make sure you are paying attention to what they want you to pay attention to. They're trying to control your thoughts. Here's something else that I made as a little interlude. Let's listen to some music for a while. Also note, the kind of music that you listen to. Good night. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Time travel, thank you for tuning in. The kind of music that you listen to influences your thoughts as well. Are you listening to something that's positive, or are you listening to things that are going to bring negative thoughts and negative actions? That's feeding into your baser instincts, your lower nature self. Well, hopefully this song right here will influence you in a different way. Again, made by me. Comment just says science is light years behind spirituality. That is very true. The science of mind. Check this out. Some very, very deep stuff in this book. Like I said, it is your mind that determines this reality. The powers that be know that, and they hope you never figure that out. Oh, let's see. The only way God can evolve a spontaneous individual is to let him alone and allow him to awaken to himself. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Nobody else can wake you up but yourself. Like even I can tell you about these things, but until you realize it for yourself, that's the only way it truly matters. We shall cease to suffer as we more and more comply with the laws of the universe. All suffering is the result of some infringement of these laws. We are in an infinite mind, and infinite mind is also in us. It is by this mind that we think. This mind is eternal. Therefore, we are eternal. The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. Add this to your collection, read it, learn some things. Check this out. The Spirit of Christ means that mentality which recognizes the law and uses it for constructive purposes only. The spirit of Antichrist is the spirit of the individual or class of individuals who, understanding the law, use it destructively. Christ and Antichrist. So we're seeing a bunch of Antichrist activities from the people who understand that it is our minds that make this reality, and they go out of their way to influence you to use your mind in a negative light. So they can control the reality. But it only works for a short amount of time. Something else says, no doubt we shall find latent powers and capacities of which we have never dreamed. Powers and abilities waiting to be understood and used. Again, he quotes, behold, I stand at the door and knock. It certainly will pay man to spend much time and thought in the study of his own nature, for he will discover things about himself that will cause him to arise and shine. Nothing is impossible. All things are possible to the great whole, and man is part of that whole. Check this out. All nature waits upon man's self-discovery and is ever ready to serve him and do his bidding. Laws and forces undreamed of by our ancestors are now being employed. Powers and forces which to prehistoric man would have seen as gods are today called nature's forces, and we consciously make use of them. Mind, just a filter. Self-aware consciousness envelops the mind. That's word. Yeah. So, like I said, I like to turn y'all on to different books. This is definitely something that I think you should get and read and study. Go back to it. It's like a textbook. You'll find different things in it. You don't have to read it from front to back all at once. Go through and look at the table of contents and see what catches your interest. Now, I had stuff highlighted throughout this book, well, at least the sections that I read. Let's see. In the great universal mind, man is a center of intelligence. And every time he thinks, he sets mind in action. Because of the oneness of mind, it cannot know anything outside itself, and therefore it cannot contradict any thought given it, but must reflect whatever is cast into it. We are immersed in an infinite creative medium which, because of its nature, must create after the pattern our thoughts give it. Jesus understood this, and in a few simple words laid down the law of life. It is done unto you as you believe. No more simple and yet no more profound statement could be made. Your beliefs help determine reality. What are you believing? Think about that. I didn't mean for it to start over. if you get a chance, I got turned on to this book by Brother Panic. I don't know what happened to his original channel, but if you type in Pan Demon, Pan space Demon, you'll find his channel, and he has a lot of lectures online that you should listen to. I miss Brother Panic. He's made his transition. Learned a lot from him. Brother Panic and Bobby Hemmett. You guys should check them out. Anyway, I've been on here long enough. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button as well. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Ron's Library and Ideas. Remember, the feds are watching, but that's only because you are powerful beyond measure. They're afraid of you because you're powerful. All right. You guys have a good night. Peace.